Good morning, I'm Rebecca Davidson.
I'm Henna Bakshi, and this is Inside Jacksonville, a production of the UNF Department of Communication and CW17.
We're here each month with stories about life on the First Coast on topics important to all of us.
This month, the topic appropriate for this Thanksgiving holiday weekend, we're saying thank you to you.
We're so glad to live in a community where there's a healthy and vital relationship between the university and the town.
One of UNF's core values is community service, students learning by getting out of the classroom and working on projects that benefit others.
And today we've got several examples of that. Most of us have been putting a dent into our Thanksgiving leftovers for the past few days, so it's only appropriate that we look where some of our food comes from, how it's grown, and how some UNF students are helping to get it right onto our tables. We start this Thanksgiving weekend inside Jacksonville at the grocery store. It's a slice of America, the grocery store produce section. It hasn't changed very much over the years, but look closely and you will see something different. Many markets are including organic fruits and vegetables, produce grown without chemicals, fertilizers, and pesticides. But the supermarket isn't the only place to get organic produce. Some local farmers are also going organic and selling them locally too. Like here at the Beaver Street Farmers Market. A lot of people shop here, but not nearly as many as in grocery store chains. So why don't more people buy straight from the farmers? Brian Lipinski is an organic farmer here in Jacksonville. He says the city has a serious lack of local markets.
Other cities, you go to the farmers markets, and most of them have a much more vibrant, thriving farmers market, like an opportunity to, find out what grows locally and to be able to shop more sustainably. Whereas here in Jacksonville, there's only a couple of us little farms at present, so I think the market could handle a lot more.
The type of farming Lipinski does here at the Down to Earth farm is called sustainable organic farming. Farming without using harmful pesticides. That means it's safer for animals and for us. Lipinski says it takes a lot of work to keep his farm going, but he's lucky because he doesn't have to do it alone. Dr. True Lever is an English professor at UNF. She brings her students here to help Lipinski with his work. She says when students get their hands dirty, book learning becomes real-life learning.
One of the things that they learn in this class is that if people in the United States, for example, would grow 1% of their own food, we would save millions of barrels of oil. And so when students hear that and then they see that, oh yeah, this is something that I can do. I could grow sprouts, or I could grow a tomato plant or something like that. It's much more doable, and it's much more relevant as well. If students like the experience of getting out of the classroom and having a way to connect kind of the theories, the ideas of the classroom with something tangible and something real. And another benefit is, this is a great local organic farm, and a lot of people don't realize that it's here, or that these things are possible, that people's own backyards can be transformed even.
These students are getting more than a lesson in sustainable agriculture. They're getting the chance to help the local farming industry and maybe discover a little something about themselves along the way.
It's not just a GPA changing course or like a transcript changing course, it's like a kind of a life changing. I've actually kind of turned a lot more green from taking this class because you really learn something.
The students benefit from the experience, and Lipinski acknowledges he benefits from the students. He says he couldn't continue with sustainable farming without their support.
We're a small farm that has undertaken a lot for a limited amount of manpower, so any help we can get is appreciated.
Farmers like Lipinski, they face a lot of tough competition. The big agribusiness conglomerates grow most of the crops in the U.S. The number of small family farms peaked around 1935 with around 7 million. Now there are fewer than 2 million family farms left.
Now, Becca, this is part of an English class, but is this specific to Dr. Leverett's English class?
Well, this program in particular at the Down to Earth Farm is just through Dr. Leverett's class, but there's tons of different classes that go out into the community, and they all go all different places.
Wow, that's great. Usually having the terms UNF student and prison in the same sentence wouldn't be a good thing, thankfully. And yes, we did slip that word in deliberately. Thankfully, it's a good thing this time. Joe Hellriegel has the story of a student program and a prison term, and a man at the center of both.
it's best just to abide by the rules and regulations.
Theo Frierson has had a life of trouble with the law. Since his teenage years, he has been in and out of jail for various crimes. But now at the age of 65, he says he's turned his life around, not on his own, but with the help of the Jacksonville Reentry Center.
You know, there was time I didn't had certain necessities. Again, like I say, I didn't have the money. And I used that as a, you know, not a support board, but a springboard.
The Jacksonville Reentry Center helps offenders return to society by giving them support with clothes, job placements, housing, mental health and substance abuse treatments, as well as other programs. Frierson encourages others to use the program as well.
The bottom line is that JREC, I benefit from it.
JREC is a joint program between the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and the Department of Corrections. Catherine Burns is the reentry coordinator from the JSO. She says this wouldn't be possible without partners, including UNF.
We have partners at the college, such as Dan Richard, Professor Richard. He is part of our Community Reentry Alliance. I go and speak to his class, and he educates students such as yourself in understanding the plight that an individual has.
Richard is a professor at UNF who teaches a class in which students learn to understand the relationship between themselves and the community. In the class, the students create a video to show how difficult the transition out of prison can be.
They're helping ex-offenders who have made that transition and made it successfully to tell their story of what were some of the challenges that they faced, how did they overcome those challenges.
Richard gives these videos to the JREC Center, where ex-offenders can watch them to prepare them for the challenges they'll face as they rejoin society.
Through that community outreach project, students are learning about revenge and forgiveness.
One of the biggest things Dr. Richard's students gain from the class is learning that there is still more that they can do to help.
To help others. That's just my biggest thing. Like, I've always loved volunteering, and I love people, and like, I'm in a communications field major, so I really want to work with people in the future.
There's still more to do, and that there's still more work I have to do, more learning I have to do.
Frierson welcomes the help, but says he realizes he must do his part as well by following the rules around him.
A lot of people object to orders, rules, laws, but rules and laws and polices are necessary.
It's because of programs like the Jacksonville Reentry Center that gives hope to ex-offenders to make the transition into society a little easier. It's because of partners who want to help, like Dr. Richard and UNF, that make that possible, and which Frierson says he's thankful for. Joe Hellriegel, Inside Jacksonville.
When we come back, we'll tell you why you benefit when the city and the university have such close ties.
And we'll also meet a man who's pretty thankful for those close ties.
I'm Kayla Beckman. I'll introduce you to a couple of students making a big impact far beyond Jacksonville. We'll go to the other side of the Atlantic, to Ghana, where students benefit even more than the people who live in this small village.